Did any of you see on social media, I saw this morning that the International Space Station flew over Merced last evening? Yeah, there's video of it. I saw it on Merced Street News, which is an interesting, I won't take time going into that, but it's interesting. But you learn a lot of things. But yes, so it shows it in the sky, and many people reported seeing it. And then someone posted a link that you could go to see where the International Space Station is, and it was reported that it would have been at this location at that particular time. And it looks like a very long, continuing comet, or falling, not a falling star, but a comet just going across the sky. It was very meaningful when I saw that. And then I realized that I had also just read an article that was posted by a Unity minister colleague of mine. Are any of you familiar with Ron Garan, G-A-R-A-N? Ron Garan, a former NASA astronaut. I'm going to read this, so it's a little long, but it's meaningful. A former NASA astronaut has spent 178 days in space and accumulated more than 114 million kilometers, traveling in 2,842 orbits around the Earth. His journey, however, hasn't been just about impressive numbers. During one of those trips, he experienced something that few humans have ever experienced, the so-called overview effect. It is a reality shock common among astronauts. By observing the Earth from space, they realize viscerally that the planet is a unique, fragile, and interconnected system. For Garan, the experience was so remarkable that he describes it as a great awakening. In an interview with the site Big Think, he revealed, certain things become undeniably clear when you're up there. From his window on the International Space Station, Garan witnessed breathtaking natural phenomena. Lightning storms that resembled paparazzi flashes, the northern lights dancing like glowing curtains, and the Earth's atmosphere so thin you could almost touch it with your hands. But it was the fineness of that layer that had him on his toes. I realized that everything that sustains life on Earth depends on a fragile layer, almost like paper. The atmosphere, with its few kilometers thick, is what protects all life forms from hostile conditions of space. For Garan, this view has highlighted a paradox. While the biosphere is vibrant and full of life, human systems treat the planet as a subsidy to the global economy. In other words, we prioritize economic growth at the expense of the natural systems that sustain us. We're living a lie, he stated. The astronaut also pointed out how problems like global warming, deforestation, and loss of biodiversity are treated as isolated issues, when in fact they are symptoms of a larger problem. Human disconnection with the planet. From space, it becomes clear that we do not see each other as part of a whole. As long as we do not change this mentality, we will continue to be in crisis, he said. The solution, according to Garan, is a radical change of priorities. Instead of thinking about economy, society, planet, we should reverse the order. Lost my place. It should be planet, society, economy. This simple exchange reflects the need to place environmental health as the basis for all other decisions. This is the only way we will truly evolve, he argued. Another crucial point is independence. Garand compared the overview effect to a lightning lamp, an epiphany about how every human action, however small it may seem, affects the global balance. We will not have peace on earth until we recognize that everything is interconnected. Since returning to earth, Garand has dedicated himself to projects that promote sustainability and global cooperation. His message is clear. We urgently need to rethink our place in the world. Have you ever stopped to imagine what it would be like to see the earth from this perspective? While that doesn't happen, Garand's vision reminds us that every choice, from energy consumption to resource usage, is a step toward preserving or destroying this delicate shell we call home. Isn't that beautiful? The overview effect. It gives me chills when we break it down and think of it in that way. Our precious, precious planet. Our divine Mother Earth that we are all a part of, that we are one with. Today I wanted to take a moment and I want to bring a little bit of Myrtle Fillmore, co-founder of Unity, in talking about the oneness, our oneness with God, our divine resource. Whatever you think God is, as many people are in this room, we probably all have a little bit of a different definition of what that divinity means to us. In Unity, we talk about the oneness, and that we affirm it all the time together. There is only one presence and one power, God the good. And many of us were raised with a definition of a God that took God outside of ourselves, something that we had to pray to bow down to be separated from. Perhaps a judging God versus a loving God, or maybe you were taught both a judging God and a loving God, as I was, and that made no sense to me and caused a great deal of confusion that I had to ride out on my bicycle around Lynn, Indiana, traveling every inch of that town in my spiritual, mystical thinking, trying to feel what that meant to me, and being so afraid that people that I dearly loved were going to burn in hell. Absolutely terrified me. We don't teach that in Unity. That is not part of our message. We teach that we are born with original blessing, that we are born perfect and whole and complete, and that there is nothing that we have to be saved from because we are already divine. We individually just get to change our mind and pay attention to the choices that we make and the choices we live by and how we treat ourselves and how we treat others. There is only one presence and one power. If that is true, then we are part of that one presence and that one power. Myrtle Fillmore, she starts off saying that if we were An individual who needs to realize and draw upon God's light and life and power and substance for health and substance cannot make the grade so long as we are situated in a way where we don't live from and breathe from and move from that understanding of one presence, one power. She says each one of us is inseparably one with God, the source and substance of life and wisdom and every good. God is the one perfect life flowing through us. God is the one pure substance out of which our organism is formed. God is the power that gives us motive power, the strength that holds us upright and allows us to exercise who we are, every single cell of who we are. Every thought of our mind, every feeling of our heart, it is all God. Unity also teaches that in the absolute reality of divine mind, and in the frequency, the energy, the resonance of God, God is not a human being sitting somewhere up on a cloud. God is the frequency of love. And in that, there is no evil. It is human beings who behave in evil ways. So we get to take responsibility for our thoughts, feelings, and actions. That's the basis of what we teach in Unity. God is the only reality of us, Myrtle goes on to say. All else is but a shadow that is cast by some foolish belief or unwise combination of thoughts and the elements of being. When we let light flood us with its sunshine, all the clouds vanish and we begin to see ourselves in new ways of doing, which lead to wholeness and health and real satisfaction and growth. We get to, as I often say, remember to remember who we are. One with God. Inseparable. You've often heard me say that you'll hear people say in many different, in Unity teachings, New Thought teachings, in so many ways, that we are a child of God, or that we are a spark. I've always resisted that idea of being a spark. I feel diminished by that. If I am one with God, then I am full of God. That does not mean that I have the consciousness of divine source, but we are each evolving into whatever that may be, and I cannot even fathom what the fullness of that could be. And I would say Garan, I'm sorry, I should have found out how he pronounces his last name, even with the overview effect, would still be able to say, even with that spiritual awakening, that mystical awakening, he didn't even, in this interview, didn't even call it spiritual, but everything is spiritual because we are spirit. But that even he has reached that full epiphany. I kind of have a feeling that once we do, if we do, then we transcend and ascend off the planet. In the meantime, we are each works in progress. We are works in progress, living, moving. And and finding a way to embody this mystical, amazing consciousness of Holy Spirit. I don't know who said this. I couldn't find the author of this. When you really get quiet, you start to see it. The systems, the rules, the endless noise, it's all part of the show. It was never about escaping it. It was about seeing through it without getting lost in it. We didn't come here to run away or ascend out. We came to remember who we are right in the middle of it. To hold the frequency of love even when the world forgets. That's the real power. Not to fight the illusion, but to walk through it as one who remembers. To walk through it as one who remembers. In all the chaos that is going on, in all the pain that I experience in watching and hearing and feeling that is going on, my one through line, my through line through it all is the quiet presence of that still small voice within me. That is my sanity, that is my anchor. And when I can feel that, when I can center in that presence, then I can take the next step and do what is mine to do and listen to where in the world is wanting my love. Just like I share in meditation every week, to listen. Who is it? Where is it? What is it that is calling for love and light right now? And sometimes it's myself. That I have to stop and take a little bit more self-care time for me. So in a couple minutes, as we go into the next phase of our service, I'm going to talk about Memorial Day. And Memorial Day is about remembering. Remembering those who have fallen for the love of this country, for the love of our planet, for our world. Memorial Day, Memory Day. Remember to remember who you are, one with all that is. And so it is.